Hey everybody, what's up? I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Hey, I just got to tell you, I want to thank you guys. If you are just tuning in to the show, if you're just finding it, I'm glad you did. What we talk about on the show is fundamentally entrepreneurship through the lens of a real estate agent. But if you don't sell real estate, no problems. The stuff that we talk about can be applied to any business, whether you are a plumber, pie maker, or painter. Now, look, I just want, again, the reason why I wanted to thank you guys is, I don't know if you guys know this, but on iTunes, and I don't look at Stitcher. Stitcher is if you have an Android device. On iTunes, there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts. Now, we are in the very, very, very competitive business category, and we're consistently in the top 100. I don't know if you know how exactly hard that is to do, but we are in the, again, and some people will game the system. If you're dropping a podcast a day, it's easy to get a bunch of downloads. So, but we don't. We do 2 a week, and it just so happens that the market, you guys are saying that they're so quality that we're getting more and more listeners every day. Now, that being said, I want, we are do this show to help people build their business as fast as possible. What I would love for you guys to do, if you're fans of the show, go to iTunes, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. But number 2, and look, that doesn't cost you anything. Number 2, give us a review. I would love a review from you. And if you do, we'll give you a shout out. Now, listen, I want to tell you about today. Okay. As I've shared before, we're a little bit very much ahead in our content. I got a very good ISA, and we have our list of targets that we want to bring on the show. And for a while there, I was literally doing like 6 interviews back to back. And by the way, like, you get done with 6 of these kinds of interviews where they're very interactive and very different every time. My brain was mush. Anyhow, this one I did on August 10th. Of 2015, even though we are now dropping it fundamentally December. That's okay. Just because it's a little bit older, doesn't matter. All the stuff is the same. Now, what you're going to like about today's guest is this. This guy's just a grinder, okay? He went, his first year in business, he did 30 deals. Now, most people will go from 30 to 50. This guy went from 30 deals to 108 at the end of year 2. So, okay, how did he do that? Now, we talk about that. We're going to talk about why he did not leave the office. Every day, he did not leave the office until he got 1 appointment. So sometimes he'd be there till 9, 10 o'clock at night. The guy grinded it out. We talk about why getting face-to-face, belly-to-belly is so important. We talk about how early on he started working with builders. So he turned fundamentally a B2C, right, business to consumer model into a B2B business model. We spend a lot of time, and what we get at is, you can't go from 30 to 108 without having good systems and processes in place. And this is so critically important for all you guys, right? As I've said before, with your business, you want to think about 1, how can I automate this? And then 2, how do I delegate it if you can't automate it? So we spend a ton of time talking about systems and processes and how to build those systems and processes. And why, from his viewpoint, a good CRM, customer relationship manager, is the foundation for good systems. Now, we also attack a subject that I think is really, really important, and that is porpoising. If you haven't heard that term, porpoising is when you go up, you have a bunch of deals, and you're like a porpoise, right? You're coming out of the water, and then you drop back down, right? And many people in their businesses, without these systems and processes to both work through transaction management as well as lead generation, will porpoise. They'll go up and they'll go down. No deals, bunch deals, no deals, bunch deals. So we talk about how to avoid that. And you know what? Look, this is just my opinion on this guy. One of the reasons I really had fun with this guy, but one of the reasons I think his story is so great is that he came from the military and then to real estate, being an entrepreneur. And look, you know why that's so important is because when you're in the military, everything is regimented. You don't have to think about anything. It's get up, soldier, hit the bricks, whatever. And then when you are an entrepreneur, it's all up to you. You get up when you want, you work as much as you want, blah, blah, blah. So I think you're going to like it. Really quickly, hashtag for the show on Twitter is unpack that idea. Use it. It's a big follow train. My Twitter handle is @SuperAgentsLive. I would love to, I'd love to meet you out on Twitterland. Let's get to it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Today's episode is brought to you by Real Estate Radio Experts. You guys want to level up. If you guys want listing leads, there's no better thing than the good old get in your car AM/FM radio. It's a direct response medium. We can deliver targeted message to a targeted demographic. So if you want to level up, if you think you're ready, go to Real Estate Radio Experts and leave me an email, and we'll chat. We'll see if you're a good fit. Let's get to the show. Today's guest on the show, pretty excited to talk to today's guest. Now, today's guest is in Temple, Texas. So that's about an hour outside of Austin. Now, why I'm leading with that is he's in the process of building his team. So if you are in Temple, Texas, if you're in Austin, Texas, I want you to reach out to this guy. Last year, his team of 4 buyers agents and him, they did about 200 deals, 34 million. So they unfortunately have a low average sale price, but 200 deals. I'm thrilled to welcome Ryan Smith. Hey, Ryan, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Great to catch up with you.
So look, I've given the audience just a sort of a nuts and bolts overview of what you did last year, but maybe take a minute before we get into your business, Ryan. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, so it's pretty crazy. So grew up in Indiana my whole life. And then ended up coming to Texas in the Army, man. So I enlisted in the Army right after 9/11, and I spent 5 years on active duty in the military, and then another 3 years in the reserve. So 8 years in the Army total. And so the military was great. I was getting to see the world, maybe a little bit too much of seeing the world, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, so doing the military thing. And then got out and thought I'd go into real estate, which is kind of crazy because I was in a town where I literally knew no one. So a lot of people who have that hometown advantage, I unfortunately did not have that. But yeah, that's kind of, I've always loved, working with people and serving folks, and I've always liked looking at houses. So it seemed like a pretty natural progression. And, lo and behold, here we are, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of, in a nutshell, kind of my story from Indiana to Texas. There's been a lot of little detours in between, but
sure. So what did you? I mean, coming out of the military. I mean, a lot of folks struggle with that, right? I mean, you go.
Sure.
This must have been hard for you because you go into the military. Everything is regimented. Right? You don't have to think about anything, and then all of a sudden,
right.
a lot of people have that problem to then. Climatizing to now an environment where they have to make decisions. Now, you went one step further because you said, I'm going to not just get a job. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like, that's a big jump. I think personality wise, were you able to make that jump?
Well, I mean, I think there's two things. I think the military does teach you how to work hard, So, I mean, I think that's just part of the culture of the military in and of itself is that, there's a lot that's demanded of people. And so it teaches you to be able to just roll up your sleeves and go to work. And that was certainly helpful. But then the aspect of that maybe I didn't necessarily always jive with the military is that ability to if you think you can do something better or find a creative way to provide a service or accomplish a mission or whatever, military, again, very regimented, like you said. And so, after being under the Army structure for a little while, it was kind of that feeling of I wanted to be able to stretch my wings and do something that, that I feel like I can do better than anybody else, and so that was kind of the idea of becoming an entrepreneur. And I really didn't even totally know what I was getting into at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
but it's interesting how life kind of prepares you for that stuff.
So yeah, certainly hard work, right? And so, and I have, coming out of like an Indianapolis or something like that. I mean, I find that, folks from the Midwest often have a really good work ethic, just built into them. So let's say you had that. You got a good work ethic. You know how to do. You're not afraid of doing hard work, but you didn't. Was your dad an entrepreneur at all, or did you have any kind of background? No.
None. Yeah, none.
And to top it off, Ryan, you're in this city that no one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So look. So what? Talk to me, because I'm always curious about when people can, people are able to parachute into a new market and make it work.
Yeah.
Go back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about some of the first things that you did to meet people. Build your list.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, I think it goes without saying. You already kind of touched on it, but you just got to be willing to grind. To really put in the hours and bust your tail, knowing that it's not going to be like this forever. But for a while, you're just going to have to suck it up and push through, And so, there are a lot of afternoons where I'm literally going and knocking on people's doors and introducing myself. And, the stuff that people don't really like to do, but, that's what can really separate you is from being the average guy to somebody who rises above that is doing the stuff that nobody else wants to do. You know what I mean? So that was part of it. And then the other thing I probably did when I first got into business is I tried to target clients who, like, for example, builders. So if you pick up a builder, you're picking up more than just one listing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might pick up, 20 listings or, 30 listings. And that's actually one of the things I did when I first got into the business is I landed a really big builder. In fact, it's actually a pretty funny story. So the builder came to my office. I was at Keller Williams at the time, and he said, hey, look, I'm looking for a real estate agent, and I would like to see who would like to represent my properties or what y'all could do for me.
Wow.
And so, all these agents just kind of through the network of our office said, hey, told the team leader, hey, go tell him that I'll hold an open house, or hey, I'll do this, or hey, I'll do that. And I was the only guy that said, hey, put me in front of him and let me sit down and talk with this guy, And so we sat down, we talked, and then, 30 minutes later, I walked out with a ton of houses for sale, And so that was really helpful. That was a big shot in the arm when I was getting going, because I really didn't have a whole lot else besides that at the point, at that point in time in my career. And so, that was really helpful. And so I tried to do that consistently, and I still try to do that as much as I can, targeting those builders or targeting people who, can bring you more than just one listing, And so, new construction is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I love that. That's very much a business to business, B2B angle where, you sell once and then you have, it's one to many rather than just a B2C,
sure.
Which is one to one. So, but
right.
Let me back up a little bit, Ryan, because I just did the math. You joined the military right after 9/11, which is 2001. You were in for 8 years. So that would put us in 2009, like a terrible year for real estate.
Yeah. Well, so I had 5 years in active duty. So I got out in 2006, beginning of 07 is when I really jumped in. And honestly, it was, of course I didn't know what I was getting into. So I didn't know if it's great or bad. I mean, for me, that was normal. You know what I mean? So, so as the market gets better, we're obviously really looking forward to that. So. Okay.
Jeez. I mean, you know what? Ignorance is bliss because, if you would have known, if you knew then what you know now, you probably would not be selling real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. So early on, you did that. That grinding stuff. You did door knocking. What else did you do early on? Because again, I have to assume you didn't have a huge marketing budget.
Yeah. No, I've tried to lead with revenue. So most of the stuff that I did was stuff that wasn't real expensive. I would scour the internet for these for sale by owners and expireds, man, and I would just not leave the office until I nailed down an appointment. I didn't care how long I stayed there. In fact, the people in my office would tease me because they're like, Ryan's going to be here a long night, but hey, I was not going home. It was not happening unless I got that appointment. And so it's kind of that grit and determination, and then the other thing is just no matter what, man, just bending over for each client that you did get and making sure that they walk away as a happy customer, 100% commitment to making sure that their experience is rock star awesome every time. That goes so far. If you can keep that going, obviously it just builds that momentum. And that's really what I tried to do, is focus on building that momentum jumping into this business,
So hold on. So your goal early on was you got an appointment a day. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah, I tried to make sure, yes, that before I left, that I would have an appointment every single day. Yep.
Wow. Okay. And so, trial by fire with you, man. So
yeah.
You just did it. How, I have to assume, your first year, Ryan, how many properties did you close?
Like 30, I think.
Okay. And then what about year 2?
108.
Whoa. Okay. All right. So here's the problem. So you're doing all the right stuff. You're working hard, and you're getting appointments, and you're getting better. You're also 108 deals means that at a 30% closing rate, you had 300 appointments, which almost makes sense, right? Because you're trying to get one a day.
Sure. Right.
Here's the problem as you scale up like that is. You can work hard and you can be great on the phone, Ryan, but without systems in place, like the whole thing's going to break down. So talk to us about some of those systems, when what they were, when you implemented them, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think it started probably in about 2011 is when I really started to realize that, I'm working as hard as I can possibly work, doing as much of this stuff myself. And I'm tired, I'm working tons of hours. I don't see my wife at all. It's just draining, And then, because those systems aren't in place, little things would slip that you don't want to let slip. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to scale the business bigger, there's absolutely no way to do it, A, with me by myself, or B, without the systems in place.
Yep.
So that's really, in 2011 is where we really started to change focus a little bit. I started to hire my first buyer agent in 2011, bring on operations help in 2011. And that's when the team, I guess if you want to call it that, was really born. And so, just focusing on getting that system down. So thinking through the process from start to finish, literally from the time that the phone call comes into our office to, how do we, if it's a buyer client, what do we say when we're on the phone with them? What do we say when we bring them into the office? How do you show them houses properly? How do you go about presenting the contract? How do you handle it when it goes from contract all the way to closing? And it has to happen that same way every time. And if we can build that system out and make it consistently good, then we're going to consistently have fantastic results with our clients. And if we consistently have clients with fantastic results, right, obviously you're hoping that would generate more business in the future, right? And so we kind of really started working through that and putting those systems in place. And it wasn't perfect, hey, it's still not perfect now, we still are constantly working at improving our systems and getting better and finding new ways and creative ways to do things, But we put something in place, and it was something that was down, it was tangible for our staff and for our team members to see and work towards, and then we try to hold each other accountable to that, And so, and that's when I really took that leap of building that team and implementing those systems. That's when the light bulbs really started to fire, saying, "Hey, you know what? This could be a lot bigger than what this ever was with me just running around selling houses like a chicken with my head cut off."
So you did all again. This is hard work. To do your systems, and I'm a lot of this is for the audience. I'm going to be kind of repeating some of your stuff. So
you're good. You're first.
So what you said was you thought through all the process, right, from phone call all the way to listing or closing table. Thinking through it is one thing. But then you have to think through it, you have to bullet point it, and then you have to explain it to someone else. Did you create, again, coming out of the military, did you create a manual for each, for the scripts on the phone calls? Or how did you convey that to your team?
Absolutely, yeah. There's manuals for each position. So when we bring a team member on and we go through onboarding, it literally is going to break down their jobs and their responsibilities from point A to point B, and it's broken down to the lowest level so that people can easily come in and comprehend what this is supposed to do and why do we do it this way. And then in our transaction management software that we have for our team, it's also for every step of the process that we're going through. There's an explanation for our team members so that as they're going through their to-do list, if they forget to do, how do I do this part of the process? You can pull that stuff up, and there's an explanation right there to kind of make sure that everybody's on the same page. This is how it's supposed to be performed. So yeah, but yes, I mean, and honestly, to be quite honest with you, that was a challenge for me because I'm a high I personality. I bounce around like a like a pinball in a pinball machine all the time. So sitting down and like thinking through it methodically of how this should work and how do I make sure that all these things happen smoothly, consistently, it took a while and it wasn't necessarily easy, but it was very rewarding for the team and for the the consumer experience.
Yeah. Well, and in the so SOP, right? Your standard operating procedure. That's that's
right. Yeah.
Okay. So for somebody out there who's doing 20 or 30 deals and know they need some systems, is there any kind of tips that you can give them to kind of push them along the road and help them with
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think absolutely. I mean, I think if you're doing that many deals, you're already doing the right things. I mean, so you know what you need to do, right? It's just getting it down on paper. So just being able to take your thoughts in your brain and just sit aside for an hour or two and just kind of in your head work through this process. What do I normally do when this phone call comes in? And what do I normally do once we have this, file under contract, And so you kind of make out that list of these are the exact steps that I do throughout this process, throughout this file, right? And so as you sit there and you kind of put that stuff down on paper and put it down in writing, then you can kind of look at your list and say, okay, well, is there any way that I could improve, this list and the order in which I do this list to create a greater or better experience for my clients? And so as soon as you can get that stuff out of your head and onto paper, then that's the beginning, right? I mean, and then at that point, you can bring team members on and work on, going into more detail and explaining it a little bit more. But that's your roadmap to success. You've got it down in writing. It's just a matter of now being able to explain it to other people and make it a consistent habit,
Yeah. This is kind of a crazy question, but, we're moving to everything's an app. Everything's an app, right?
Yeah, right.
Could this process, could somebody create an app and systemize the from phone call to closing table process? I don't know. Is that a nutty question?
Yeah, I mean, I bet somebody probably could. I mean, I think, we have a lot of our systems that we use have apps. I don't know if it's got it all together in one place. Okay. So you could go through and systematize it like that. But, we've got our transaction management software that's on an app. We have our lead generation software is all on an app, so we can kind of track our how our team's doing, reaching out and touching base with our consumers. Are they meeting our standard operating procedures? How often that we need to be touching base with our clients? I mean, these sorts of things. I mean, but I don't know if there's one. We don't have an app right now that's got it all in one place. That would be nice if we did.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We currently don't. Yeah.
So, well, okay, we were talking about apps a little bit. What can you give the names of some of those apps that you currently use?
Yeah, I mean, so we're running everything for transaction management off of Top Producer.
Okay.
And the Top Producer system was, if you're trying to get your systems down, it actually can give you some very good baselines. I mean, so a lot of the systems that we have now was me kind of making my own list, and then I start digging into Top Producer and realize, oh, wow, Top Producer's got a list over here too. And so then kind of working on between those two, contrasting and comparing their list to what I had, and then improving on that, And what I found a lot of that, the preloaded stuff in the system, as you can probably imagine, it's not always tailored exactly to what you need or what needs to happen.
Yep.
But you can get in there and you can tweak it and stuff and kind of get that system the way that you like it and the way you want to see it. And so we use that. We use, Commissions Inc. is a big one for our lead generation and stuff. So Commissions Inc. is very in depth. And so, we can pull up commission sync on our app and kind of go through and look at, how often we're touching base with our clients and those sorts of things. And so that's helpful as well. Those are probably two of the bigger systems that we use, I would say.
Okay. So again, if I go back to what you're doing all the stuff that didn't cost much money, but it took a lot of hard work, like door knocking. Now, what commonly happens, Ryan, as you know this, but what commonly happens with people is, especially in the situation that you kind of were, and this didn't happen to you. This didn't happen to you. That's why I want to talk about it. Porpoising,
okay.
Right? They have no deals. They go out and work really hard. All of a sudden, they have deals, and they stop lead generating, and then they have no deals. Right?
Absolutely.
Up and down, up and down. That does not appear to have happened to you because you go from 30 to 108. How are you able to manage or level out that flow? Whether that's leads or appointments or whatever. How did you stay consistent with getting yourself out there?
Man, it's really just time management and focusing on what we consider our $3 productive activities, which would be prospecting, selling, or negotiating. So, I wanted to make my time every day focused on these three aspects. I wanted to either be prospecting for more business, showing properties, or negotiating. And if I was doing one of those three things, I was always making money. So I really laid out my schedule every day to do that, so that I made sure that I had time in every single day to be doing the majority of my time in that day on those three things. And I really wanted to make every single day setting aside time for prospecting for new business. And so sometimes that could be, back in the days before, that was literally hopping in the car and driving through neighborhoods looking for sale by owners and finding a number and calling them, or scouring the internet through all these different for sale by owner websites or Craigslist or whatever and finding their names and numbers and calling them, But in one form or another, I wanted to make sure I spent time every single day prospecting for new business, because if I did that, even when I was busy, because I think the tendency, which you would probably agree, the tendency is once you get 10 or 12 closings on the books or get a number of closings on the books for a month, it's really easy to kind of hit into coast and just focus on closing out those 12 deals or however many you got,
Absolutely.
Which then turns into the next month, it's ugly, like we're eating rice and beans, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, making sure to have the discipline to get there every single day and prospect for that new business every single day. That way you kind of get off this roller coaster of income and make it a consistent, steady stream of income. At least that's the goal. I mean, I don't know if it's completely possible to eliminate any, rise and fall, but it certainly makes it a whole lot less dramatic. I mean, it's much more stable, I'd say.
Yeah, so right. I'm agreeing with everything you said. So when it comes to time management, did you do a ton of time blocking or did you do batching?
I did time blocking. Yeah. I mean, I looked at my schedule for the week and I would plan out, a certain amount of time for, and it's an ideal schedule. I mean, the schedule could flex. I mean, and it would sometimes, so, there might be the time where I've budgeted, this, hour or 2 hours for prospecting. And then now all of a sudden, this person who was supposed to go later on this afternoon had an emergency come up. Now we need to go at 2 or 3. I mean, these things happen. It happened to everybody, But yeah, so I'd kind of lay out my week and say, okay, well, what time am I going to prospect on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday? And so I'd really do my best to stick to that schedule. And so, what was really interesting, actually, as you mentioned, bringing up that question, is I remember thinking, there's no way that I can control my schedule. I remember thinking that in the beginning, going, I have to go whenever these people want me to go, because if I don't go, they're going to go to somebody else.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's really weird. So as I remember, I went to Mega Agent, this is in 2008 with Keller Williams, and there was a guy up there just talking about how if you treat yourself like the professional, and you exude that with confidence over the phone with these consumers, they'll wait for you. They will work around your schedule if you really believe and act like a true professional.
Yeah.
And I didn't. At first, I was like, no way. But then I started doing it, and he was right. So I was able to kind of, I mean, yes, there's always some flex and there's some give. Don't get me wrong, but following that schedule and sticking to it, and then realizing that your clients, your consumers, really will respect. A lot of times, will respect that schedule and follow right along. There are some people that probably won't. Sometimes you got to have to ask that question: is this the client that you want to be working with?
Right.
If they're not going to respect your schedule at all, or I mean, so. But yeah, I mean, I think that was real helpful.
No, and look, I 100% agree with that as well, because, do you think that you're going to get your doctor on the phone at 8 p.m.? No.
Right.
You're not going to get and I think more people should adopt that attitude that you're suggesting. Hey, I'm going to respect you, but you need to respect my time. And I think this ties into a little bit, at least in my opinion, Ryan, is the need for a great pre-qualification call. You shouldn't just go to anybody. You shouldn't, just because you can book an appointment doesn't mean that you should take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, couldn't agree more. Yeah, could not agree more. Actually, as I look at the agents, because I'm in a RE/MAX office, we have other RE/MAX agents here, and even the same thing when I was at Keller Williams. One of the really tangible things that I noticed when I would be surrounded with the other agents is how quickly they would just drop the phone and go run out and just show everybody houses, having no idea whether this person was qualified or worth spending their time with from a business standpoint, as opposed to, for me, I felt like, man, I'm not getting in the car and showing anybody houses unless I know they're good, because I don't want to invest all this time and then come back in the end and be disappointed,
Right.
So I think it's a great point. That was a great point. Absolutely.
And look, at the thing that I think goes with that, Ryan, is the fact that money is a renewable resource, right? You can get more of it all the time, but when it comes to your time, it's not. And I think too many people, again, whether you're starting out or even been in the game for 10 years, they don't respect their own time as much as they should. Look,
absolutely.
So this a little bit applies to time management, but again, early on you were door knocking, right? That takes time. You only have so much capacity. I guess at some point you started deploying capital, right? You started marketing yourself without. Right. You were getting leverage through marketing. When was that, and what are some of those early things that you did?
So I would say it was probably at least a good year into it. And really the first thing that I started out with was an IVR system. So just a, real basic, I use ProQuest IVR, still use them to this day. Real basic, just the 1-800 writers on top of your signs, but, it just seems like, I don't know. People are very willing to call in and listen to this recorded information and give you their information for you to follow up with them. So, I remember being really skeptical on that, and really skeptical on whether property flyers would work. I know that sounds so cheesy, but I remember I was coaching with a coaching company at that time, and I remember my coaches kept telling me, "Man, you need to use property flyers. You need to use property flyers." And I was thinking, that is not going to work, but they were right and I was wrong, and it worked, So those are basic things. I know it doesn't cost much to put flyers out in front of your yard signs, and I know it doesn't. The IVR system, I think it's like $30 a month. You know what I mean? It's like it may be a little bit more expensive now, but I think $49 a month. But the return on investment was unreal. Definitely a good positive return on investment for those things.
Well, yeah, and so those are great, but you need a listing, right? You need a listing for that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah, definitely.
So what did you do? What are some of the things other than what kind of marketing did you do to get those listings for you then to use your IVR and your flyers?
Sure. And just to be quite honest with you, I don't know that we've ever really put pedal to the metal hardcore on marketing for our listings. What we have done, and this is probably a great area of opportunity for us in the future. What we had done in the past, and what I did on the past, is I focused so much on making sure that they had a great experience, and then invested into doing things either during the sale or even after the sale that was totally above and beyond what they would expect, that I really fueled that word of mouth from our consumers. And so if you look, I've even pulled up my numbers this year. We're like almost 90% of our listing business is coming from personal referral.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So, literally it's crazy to say this. We don't invest a ton into our listing marketing right now because, we're running at max capacity on the list side, and it's just max capacity off of personal referral alone.
So, okay. That's wonderful to know. So
Yeah, I know. I know. We probably could focus on this, and actually, this is a great area of opportunity for us to grow in the future, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But so tell the audience, this kind of sounds like Tony Robbins me, right? Tony Robbins will say, hey, create, your customers, make them raving fans. So it sounds like you set out to do that, and you did do that. What is that? What kind of experience did you set out to create for them? What did that look like?
Yeah, so we want to be delivering more to them on every turn, right? So totally under-promise and over-deliver every day. So, and we want to convey enthusiasm with them while we're helping them. So, when they sell their house, we want to make it a big deal, on social media for them and very involved with them, sending them something in the mail that says, hey, congratulations just on selling your house, right? Throughout the process, we want to be consistently, it's kind of different for folks who maybe don't have a team because this is what they would do every day anyway. But I want to personally, even now, be reaching out to these people as they're going through the transaction management process with our team and checking in with them, telling them how much we appreciate them, all that stuff. I know it's little, but bringing closing gifts to your clients at the closing table, just touching base with them, saying, hey, we really appreciate you. Then where I think it really is taking it to another level is being able to reach out to those people consistently after you've sold them a house and telling them, hey, I was just thinking about you today. I just wanted to let you know how much we appreciate you, how thankful we are for your trust and for the chance to serve you. If there's ever any way I can help you or any of your friends, please let us know. You know what I mean? And so just by making sure, and being totally unwilling to walk away from the table with them having a bad experience, even if that means I didn't make any money. There's been a few times where I know of situations where it's like, in order to make the client happy, you'll do whatever you got to do. And so I think that attitude though shows. And so it made people walk away and talk, and so I think that's a large part of it. Creating very good expectations throughout this process too is a huge part of that. In fact, I think probably the biggest part of it. So making sure that we outline clearly where this process is going and how we're going to get from point A to point B, and we keep them informed all along the way. And then at the end of the day, when you go to your closing table, we're making sure that you're making more money than what we told you. We've been conservative all the way out throughout this process, making sure that we don't ever give them improper expectations. Because it really seems like, honestly, when people are frustrated on the listing side, 99% of the time, it's because they had some sort of improper expectations about that process. That if we'd been really detailed and thorough and really focused on setting those good expectations, then they wouldn't be frustrated. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I do. Well, okay. So hearing that, Ryan, here's the incredible thing you said. Out of all that stuff's great, but you said even if I don't make any money, which is like there's so many people cringing right now, going, I would never do that. But that, to me, that points to, this is going to be a great segue into coaching, but to me, that points to that you very much have an abundance mindset, whereas most people are operating on a scarcity mindset. So you agreed with me. You have an abundance mindset. Tell me now how you developed this abundance mindset. Were you always like that? Is it innate to you, or is this something that you developed on your own?
No, it's not always like that. I'm competitive, man. I'm telling you, I am Mr. Competitive, and I like to, compete just like anybody, and probably most of the listeners out there. I think that's natural, and that's one of the reasons why people like to get into this business, is because it kind of fuels that competitive desire, and so it's part of what makes the business fun and addicting and all that good stuff. But, a lot of it has come through coaching. It's come through people saying, hey, man, you don't need to worry about everybody else. Just focus on, as far as other real estate agents go and stuff, just focus on what you're doing and focus on just being a little bit better every single day as an individual and as a business and as a team. And all that stuff's going to take care of itself, And so for our clients, like going back to the example that we just talked about before, what I found is that oftentimes when that, thankfully we didn't walk away not making any money very often, but, in these circumstances where you really rise above and beyond without any question that they know that you are there for them and you were even willing to lay out, again, we don't like to lay out our commissions and stuff, but if that's what it's going to take to make somebody happy, that we're willing to come through and do it, it just seems to always come back tenfold. It does. I mean, people appreciate that, and they will send you business like none other if they see that's your true, genuine attitude. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, man. I mean, if you're that guy, if you're and you're the person who has that mindset and who is caring more about the other people than you're caring about yourself, people want to work with somebody like that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that ties in with this, Ryan, is the fact that you have to be careful with, and you mentioned this earlier, right? You have to question with each of your clients: is this the right person? Do I want to work with this person? Because with you being
Sure.
that, if you are servant-hearted, and there's lots of people out there who take advantage of your kindness.
Right.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So again, this is something that you had to develop, right? You're a competitive guy. You mentioned coaching earlier, and I'm always fascinated with. Let me say it this way, and then we'll get into coaching. I say this often,
right.
But you can look at any brokerage, and you have three groups of people. You have the top 20% who are killing it. You have the middle 60% who are holding their own, and you have the bottom 20% that are literally taking up space. And the difference between the top 20 and the bottom 20, top 20's got coaches, bottom 20 doesn't. So for you, why did you think to reach out to a coach? Why did you think you need one? I mean, you got off to a phenomenal start. Year 2 doing 108 deals.
Yeah. I mean, I really felt like I was committed to this business, sink or swim. I was going to make it. In fact, I will tell you. So when my first year in the business, I mean, everybody who's out there knows what it's like to start this business and jump into it. It's hard at the beginning. I mean, man, it can be brutal. And I remember that first year coming home, and I remember coming home. It was late at night, and my wife was crying in bed. And I was like, I walked in, and I came home late. It was like 11 o'clock. And I was like, why are you crying? I mean, obviously that's not what you want to come home to, right?
Right.
So she's like, well, we can't pay our bills. Ooh. And I've never been faced with that before. And I go over to my kitchen table, and man, there's bills that we're struggling to pay, And I remember, man, just this feeling inside me. It's like, man, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make it in this business. I'm not going to fail. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to make it. And so when that happened, and this happened in 2007, 2008, somewhere, I guess probably 2007. I remember thinking, if I'm going to do this for real, and I'm going to really focus on becoming the best that I can be, then it may be better to have somebody who's been there ahead of me, who can help me maybe not make all the mistakes that everybody else has made, and hopefully that would help my business grow faster. And I think it really did. I think it was a game changer. But yeah. Absolutely.
But again, that's interesting. Again, this points back to your abundance mindset, right? You can't pay your bills, but you just added another like crazy expense. Mm-hmm. So now, we found out, right? So Bob Corcoran personally coaches me, and I found out at the beginning of this call that he also personally coaches you. Now. Bob, I'm not going to say how expensive Bob is, but Bob's a very expensive guy. He's very hard to work with. He doesn't work with everybody. How did you How did you finagle your way in there? And how did you because a lot of people wanted to work with Bob, and again, Bob, especially now, he watches his time closely. Okay. It's a lot of money. How did you think? Right. Why did you go? Okay, yeah, I'm going to pay it.
Well, and here's the deal. To be fair, I didn't start with Bob. I started with actually Catherine at Corcoran.
Yep.
And so, and that was a little bit less expensive, but it was still the same idea. Of having someone who's there to kind of help me along and kind of point out ideas. And like I was talking about the property flyers and stuff. I remember Catherine just going, Ryan, you need to do this. And I was stubborn going, it's not going to matter. And she says, you need to trust me. And then of course she was right. And I was wrong. So I really started from there. And so as the business grew, obviously Bob is more expensive. But I didn't really make that transition to coaching with Bob until maybe just about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. But yeah, I stepped up. I mean, there's different levels of coaching. I think I think when I first started, I want to say it was maybe $1,000 a month, which was, man, that's a huge commitment, man. I remember just as we were talking about sweating that, going, man, I hope I'm not making a huge mistake by doing that. But it ended up being one of the best choices I've ever made, so it worked. Yeah.
So what is a guy like you? I mean, and look, so Bob's a funny character because, he coaches Russell Rhodes, $200 million. He coaches Barry Ezersky, 1,100 deals a year.
Right.
He coaches some big people. What does somebody like you get out of it?
Out of coaching with Bob?
Yep. Out of working with Bob.
Accountability, which
Okay.
is a big thing. Probably one of the biggest and best things that a coach can bring. A lot of us know the right things to do, right? I mean, we hear the same things over and over again. A lot of times we know the right answer or the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But we aren't willing to hold ourselves accountable and make ourselves do the right thing. So a coach helps you with that, I think. And so that's very helpful for me. And then certainly now as we're building out our culture and our team, I think it's helpful to have people who have been there and who have helped other people accomplish the same thing. I mean, if you want to get to that level, and to the next level, then it just makes sense to hang out with people who are already there, right? And pick their brain and learn from them. And so for me now, that's what Bob's done. He's been able to really help, having somebody to bounce some things off of, holding me accountable, and then helping me build the culture for our organization as we grow,
And culture is everything, especially as you grow. Because you spend money and time recruiting people. You want to make sure you retain them. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up here, bud. But here's what I'm curious about. Here's what I'm curious about, Ryan. Is a guy like you. I know you're competitive because you told me that you were. But what is it? What is that thing that you keep? You're not hitting the coast button, right? You keep putting the gas on and you want to go faster, better, more and more. What is that thing that helps you to do that?
I'm not.
Or what drives you?
For me, it's creating a better, taking care of my family and creating a great opportunity and a great life for my family. I am really driven to think that I can have a great life, make great money, and be able to spend time with my family. And I feel like most people think like those two things need to be mutually exclusive, and I don't believe that it does. So I think that drives me more than anything else is to have that life, that vision that I have for me and my family, and being able to spend a lot of time with my kids and be the dad that's there and the husband that's there and being awesome at those, while also still running a very successful business. And I think that's really exciting to me, and I think that's what pushes me more than anything else.
I love it, man. I love it. One last question. I'm going to ask you the same three questions I ask everybody, but before I do, there's something. I got to tell you, and this is bothering me, and I feel bad telling you. Here's what's bothering me. When you booked a spot to on my calendar here. Your email, and I'm gonna say your email because I was gonna ask you for it anyway. But your email is ryansmith@vvm.com. When I Googled vvm.com to see what that was all about, that is where that's like your hosting service. Why? Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why are you using?
Yeah. Why are you using that?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. So I have another email. It's ryan@ryansmithhomes.com.
Okay.
So it all kind of funnels to the same place. So you have my VVM in mind.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, as long as you have that, because I was like, oh, this guy's, you're putting up too many deals to be using a vvm.com email. All right. So in your personal or professional development, this is about a mentor, but who's been a mentor to you, Ryan?
I think there's been a number of people who've been mentors to me, both locally here in my market when I got into real estate. A guy by the name of Pat Mullins and another guy by the name of Grady Tyrock. Both of them had been in real estate for a long time, and so it was helpful to have them there just to bounce questions off of when I'd get into situations that I didn't really know how to handle. And then outside of my local market, guys like Jay Kinder, Mike Reese, Bob Corcoran. These are people. Chris Heller, Gary Keller. Jeff Cook out of Charleston.
I know Jeff.
Guys that Yeah. Great people. Chad Goldwasser's another one.
I know Chad. I know all those guys.
Yeah. I mean, so, honestly, these are people that I reached out to and that I've bounced a lot of questions off of, and that have been there to answer and help me out when I was growing and learning. And I think those guys, man, they've been all those people that I just mentioned have been really instrumental and helpful, and have made a big difference in my career as we've started from the ground up to where we are now.
So let me ask you this, and the reason why I asked that question is because I think too many people having a mentor, like as you said, was very, very helpful. But too many people they're like they don't know how to get one. They don't know how to go about it. So did you identify like a Chad Goldwasser and then just reach out to him and say, hey, like will you? Would you be open to taking a couple questions every couple of weeks, or how did you do that?
Yeah, well, and some of it came through coaching, you know what I mean? Just from my coach, I coached with folks with Corker, and I coached with folks with Jay and Mike for a while. And so some of it just came naturally through the business relationship of coaching. But then, some of it is, yes, honestly, just, emailing Jeff Cook and saying, hey man, I really respect where you're at. I think the world of you. And, do you mind if I bounce a few questions off you every now and again? So, and he did. He's been really helpful, and he's been awesome, so I think a lot of the people who have that abundance mentality mindset are more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, I want to be that guy. I've got a long way to go. Our business is a long way to go, but I want to be that person to pass that on to somebody else because it was really helpful to me.
Well, guess what? After this airs, I guarantee you, you're going to be getting some emails. So, okay, I always ask for a book recommendation. So here's the setup, Ryan. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25.
Yeah.
What book should I go buy today?
Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, you're
Gary Keller.
Yeah, everybody's got to. I think if you're a real estate agent, there's 3 books that you have to have. MREA is one. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are like just standard, like basics. You got to read them. Well, listen, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, if you haven't read Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I know you've heard it come up on the show a bunch, but look, go get a free copy on us. And you can get, if you want any book at all, you can use our link, get a free copy. Just go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a free copy. Now here's...
Yeah, I'd probably throw 2 more out there.
Hit it.
Throw 2 more books out there that were really helpful. So Chet Holmes, The Ultimate Sales Machine.
Got it on my desk right now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, great book. Love that one. That was huge. And then the one that just, totally rocked my world, and especially in the phase of business that I'm in right now, which is building the culture of the organization, Good to Great is just unreal. Jim Collins, Good to Great.
Yep.
That book is one of the best business books I've ever read. I love it.
It's a great book. And I think, the funny thing about learning, I think, is, you have to be at a certain level to appreciate The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. You also have to be, I think, at a certain level in your entrepreneurship career to be able to appreciate, Good to Great. I agree with you; those are great books, but they're definitely not like 101 books. I think you have to have some background to be able to appreciate them. Okay.
Yeah, totally true.
So listen, Ryan, I always encourage my audience to, if they've gotten anything out of this, reach out and say thank you to you. So, and there's 2 things. One, you've already said, hey, I'll answer some questions. I'll be a little mentor, maybe a little bit to people out there. And 2, I said this at the top of the show, you are looking to build your team. So anybody out there in Temple, Texas, let people know where they can find you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach us on our email. You can email me personally. That's at ryan@ryansmithhomes.com. Check out our website. It's ryansmithhomes.com. And you can also holler at us at the office. That's 254-598-4055. Check us out on Facebook, too. You can check out the Ryan Smith Home Selling Team on Facebook. Love to have you like our page and check out what we're doing here in Temple.
Yeah, cool. And look, everybody out there, I would encourage you to give Ryan a call and ask him a question. Look, I'll tell you, Ryan, I had a guy named Jeff Cohn. I don't know if you know who Jeff Cohn is. He's out there in Omaha, Nebraska. He does about 700 deals a year. We're friends. We talk a lot. He came on the show and he said, hey, everybody, if you want to fly out to Omaha and spend the day with me, you can do it. And I was like, holy crap, man, don't do that. Don't do that on the show. And I talked to him like 4 weeks after we aired. And I said, hey, did anybody take you up on that? And he goes, no. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this guy does 700 deals a year. You couldn't pay that kind of a guy to spend a day with you. And all it takes is a flight out to Omaha. Anyhow. So I'm encouraging everybody, reach out to Ryan if you have any questions. Hey, Ryan, listen, man, I'm going to kick off the thank you train. I appreciate you. I know you're a busy guy. You're growing your team. You got this vibrant business. I appreciate you coming and spending an hour with me and sharing with me and my audience.
Hey, man, my pleasure. I appreciate you and the opportunity as well. And hey, it's worth it, man. There's a great opportunity in this business and what we do, and we have a great opportunity to influence others and to be a light in our community. So I appreciate the chance to visit with you, and if I can ever help anybody, let me know. Glad to help.
Thanks, bud. All right, let's keep in touch.
You bet. Absolutely.